Headlines again this season, Ray, presented by our friends at Boston Pizza. And, as speculation kind of starts to develop more so on the trade front in the National Hockey League, I look forward to the conversations we're going to have on the podcast. But there's enough going on around the league and around the world of hockey that, we can kind of get through some of it anyway here today on headlines. And we'd be remiss, I think, if we didn't start with Connor Bedard. And we're recording the episode Tuesday morning, so we watched the quarterfinal against Slovakia. And you've done so many of these World Junior games, international games, where you can just see the commitment by all of the players. Not just the Canadians, not just the Americans. I mean, that Slovak team poured their heart into this game, played their asses off, forced Canada into overtime. And then Connor Bedard scores what I describe as a bedazzling goal. I mean, how many Slovaks did he deke? 3 before he cleans it up in overtime. The records are being toppled. He's now the point leader. He surpassed Eric Lindros in total points on the world stage. All of that. I mean, I guess what I want to get to with you is, number one, your thoughts of him overall, typified by that overtime winner. And is there something special about a player that it just felt right that Bedard would score that goal, did it not? In the fashion that he did, in overtime, is there something about a player who has that ability to just seize a moment? I mean, you talked about Connor McDavid right off the top, right? We think of all the great players of the game. And not to put more pressure on this kid than he already has, but is there something to the idea of a moment?
Oh, I think there most certainly is. Some players, they just want it. Like, everybody wants it. Everybody dreams of scoring the big goal, like scoring that goal that Bedard scored last night. Maybe you don't quite dream that it'll be that nice, but you dream of scoring it. But you're not capable of doing it. Like, everybody wants it. You have to be capable of doing it as well. I think we've seen through the tournament, for those that have gotten their first real look at Connor, is that, he's got this ability to kind of hang out of the play and then be in it, like in a split second. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need to be in the mix, but he's got a smarts to him that keeps him in the mix. It doesn't really, even as I say it, it doesn't make sense, but you don't often see him tied up in the jumble of play.
No.
He's got an escapability to him that he gets in and out. Clearly his skating and his agility and his puck work and that shot is, that shot is incredible. I'm looking at players every time I do that tournament, and now I'm watching on TV. I try and look, Dregs, and I'm like, who does that player remind me of? Mm-hmm. Who could he be? What might he be at the next level? And Bedard's a tough one. He really is.
Yeah.
Like, the friends we were watching with last night, they're like, could he be a generational guy like Connor McDavid? And I'm like, no, not the same, because McDavid plays in a way that nobody else can play. Mm-hmm. And Bedard doesn't play like that. Now, unfortunately, there's not the proper video to compare. And this is an old guy take, maybe, but maybe it's the number, maybe it's the size, but he reminds me a lot of Marcel Dionne.
Wow.
And I mean, people might say, "Oh, Marcel Dionne." Marcel Dionne's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He was a phenomenal player. Bedard has the same stature, and clearly, I mean, skates differently and all that stuff, but that's the one I come up with. You can't compare him to a 6'4" guy, because he's not. No. Is he somewhere? Is he like Patrick Kane a little bit? Does he have, a Caulfield shot with a Kane agility? Like I think he's an amalgamation of a couple of different players. I love watching him play.
Oh man.
And the other thing, Dregs, to your initial point, there's a fire to him that clearly burns pretty hot. I I love watching him play. And the goal last night, it's funny when they missed the power play.
Yeah.
Riley, our 16-year-old, he's a soccer player. He doesn't watch hockey as much as certainly we do. And he goes, if Slovakia gets a chance, they're going to steal this. And then Milic made that save.
Yeah.
Like it was over. And he made a really great save. And then those poor Slovak kids were exhausted. Bedard beat the one forward twice.
I know.
Like the poor guy couldn't get off the ice. And Nemetz, who's a terrific player, was just so out of gas.
Yeah.
But what Bedard had, so he had 10 shots. He hit the crossbar. That doesn't count. So that's 11. Yeah. Like just 11 shots. I mean, he's clearly at the entire through the entire tournament, which are kids that are a couple years older than him. Even he's clearly the class of the tournament.
Well, speaking of the tournament, how about another one, Shane Wright? And you talked about being in Seattle over the weekend. Some believe that Shane Wright is going to be reassigned back to the Ontario Hockey League by Seattle Kraken, depending on who you talk to. Ron Francis isn't going to show his hand just yet. Some big names being traded, by the way, with that deadline looming in Major Junior Hockey of January 10th. Ryan Winterton, Seattle Kraken draft pick, was traded. He's just getting back onto the ice from a bad shoulder. He was traded from Hamilton to the London Knights. Danny Zhilkin, who's a draft pick of the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets love this kid. I think he's a third-round pick. He just got traded this morning by the Guelph Storm to Mike McKenzie's Kitchener Rangers. So anyway, there's a lot going on. If Wright were to be sent back to the Ontario Hockey League, I believe that he'd facilitate a trade. Like he would have that full no trade clause. So he'd say, okay, yeah, I'm going back to the OHL, but I'm not going back to Kingston. Here's the team I want to go back to. So we'll see. I mean, not to be a distraction, and that's what it would be at this point, as Canada's trying to get through a semifinal and get back to the gold. What do you see? What do you think when you watch Shane Wright? What's the best path for this young man's development?
He's got to play. You have to play games. He's not going to play games in Seattle. Seattle is hanging around that playoff picture. Mm-hmm. So crazy as it may seem, and I was just there for two games. It's not, even though they're in year one and not even a half yet, it's not the time right now to throw Shane Wright in to play him 10 or 12 minutes. Yeah. If you don't play on the power play and you don't penalty kill in the NHL, you're rarely getting to 10 minutes. You just aren't. Now the Kraken's penalty killing is tied, I believe, right now with Vancouver for last. Mm-hmm. Their power play is 20 seconds. So you can say, yeah, you can see a spot where maybe he could do one or the other. They're not giving up this chase for a playoff spot, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And to play Shane Wright 8 minutes a night and to take somebody out of the lineup. I just don't see it. To me, and Ron's a conservative thinker, has always been with his development. To me, it points to Wright going back to the Ontario League. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter that Slafkovsky is playing in Montreal. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where Nemetz is playing. Really doesn't matter. It's got nothing to do with it. Seattle has to do the best for Shane Wright. And for me, that would be back in junior right now. I don't see enough minutes there for him.
Okay. Well, it's a story that we'll continue to follow here throughout the course of the week. And a decision will be made probably as soon as Canada either wins gold or is eliminated from the World Junior Championship. Back to the NHL. JT Miller, the Vancouver Canucks, in the spotlight again, and has been for a handful of days here. Big deal or not, I don't know, but something that we should discuss because we haven't had the opportunity. From him trying to explain his actions in trying to get Delia out of the net, right? So they're looking for the extra attacker. I'm sure everybody who listens to the podcast has seen the video of JT encouraging his netminder to get to the bench for the extra attacker. I don't know. I mean, it seemed aggressive. It seemed a little bit over the top in a world where there's so many cameras and everything, that follows these guys. I actually was okay with his explanation of it. And I also like the fact that he started the interview by simply saying, I don't pay any attention. We don't pay any attention to the noise outside of the dressing room. Good for him. Good for him. But he did explain it in an acceptable fashion for me. But then more recently, last couple of days, he's now defending his lack of production of late, based on a focus of playing better defensively. You buying it? I mean, is that what you're seeing in his game?
I don't know. I mean, he's bouncing back and forth between wing and center is probably not very easy for anybody. With the year that Horvat's had, and and Pettersson's clearly their best player. Pettersson's had a terrific year.
Yeah,
really has.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, if Miller's at center, he's your third center.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably not the place you want to play him, and that's probably not the set of wingers that you probably want to play him with. So that's a bit of an issue. When he plays, pretty clearly he's an emotional guy, and I connect a little bit with him because that's I did things that I just wish I didn't do, and I can almost guarantee you he wished he wasn't banging the back of the net, screaming at the goal.
heat of the moment stuff, right? Where in the moment you
and it bothers me when people write and say, oh, he was aggressive towards a teammate. You don't really have time there to go, hey, Colin, if you don't mind, could you head to the bench? You don't really have time for that.
No.
Now, you'd like to be a little more polite in everyday society, but at the time you're like, get to the bench.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like you're running out of time. You don't. So that's my defense of that. You shouldn't do it the way that he did it, though.
No.
You just shouldn't. Last year, to the production, 99 points, career year. Everybody has one. That's why they call it a career year. He's not going to do it again. Doesn't mean he's not an effective player. If you get 75 points out of JT Miller and you get a more complete, more well-rounded game, then I don't think anybody would be disappointed with that. His numbers might be. The people that picked him in their draft pool might be disappointed. But I think a lower point total, more complete player is probably a really good thing. Now, can he get there? Is he getting less points because he's trying to play a more complete game? I don't know. I don't know about that. But if I'm coaching, I'm going to say, look, JT, I understand you're an emotional guy. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look for you. It's not a good look for our team.
Yeah.
I get all of it, but just let's not do that again.
All right. Let's wrap up headlines with the Winter Classic. We had Carolina on our list because they've won 11 consecutive games. I think we should call it the Ray and Dregs bump because we had Rod Brindamore on not that long ago, and that team has been white hot since then, but it feels like we'll have opportunity moving forward to talk about Carolina. So staying in the moment, the Winter Classic yesterday afternoon. I don't know. Like I feel like, I know it's a fan-based event, and I know that the players and the clubs buy into it. I loved the fact, and I don't know whose idea this was. I'm going to find out. The Boston Bruins arriving wearing Boston Red Sox old unis. Did you see that?
See the old gloves? You see the old gloves?
I loved it.
Oh, outstanding.
See, but if that's Steve Mayer from the NHL or whomever came up with that idea, that is the spirit of the Winter Classic. The players bought in. Like Brad Marchand looked like an old Boston Red Sox player.
He really does, doesn't
as he's walking in, he just looks like that. Beyond that, it's a spectacle. I feel like you have to be there to truly get it, to feel it, to get that wholesome takeaway. Otherwise, as we watch it on TV, it's just another game. It just looks like another game. But in the moment, it's bigger than that. And so big day for Jake DeBrusk with a couple of goals. What is it about this brew? Well, first of all, offer a quick thought on just the Winter Classic, overall. Well, and then what is it about the Bruins? How do they keep rolling, Ray? They just dig themselves out of adversity every single time.
Well, to touch on the game, I think you hit all the points, Dregs. It is, like there's a certain faction that say there's too many outdoor games, you shouldn't play anymore. it's not, it started out as a national spectacle. And then it's become more of a local markets thing that we show on national TV. And the local markets love it. And that's why there's going to continue to be more of them. And it looks like it would be really fun to be there. Like the people looked like they had a good time. I thought the game was kind of a dud.
It was a bit flat. Yeah.
You know, and that's the way games can be in the regular season. The outdoor game is about the venue and everything around it. Once the game starts, the cameras can't show, like they could have 8,000 cameras there. It doesn't matter. You got to show the rink. The rink's 200 by 85. That's all you can show. It doesn't matter if they got the green monster in the background. You can't see it. Yeah. You can if you're there, but so it's a location-based event. Like I think it best serves when you're there. As far as the Bruins, so I worried coming into the year, could they stay in the mix until all their injured guys got back from off-season surgery? I didn't realize they weren't going to lose a home game here, and now we're into January. I didn't think, I didn't trust that David Krejci was going to be able to come back and make such an impact. Yeah. So their two top centers are 37 years old. The only roadblock I see for them is health to those centermen, to Bergeron and Krejci, because this is a well-balanced team. They play a style that is really aggressive. They get scoring from a bunch of different places. Like, remember, Nick Foligno was on waivers, and Jim Montgomery said, "I think he can get 10 goals this year," and he's going to do it. And he looks terrific. So the bottom of their lineup is better. Their defense is really good. Linus Ullmark has been he's if you're awarding the Vezina, he's got it in his pocket right now. I think now he's 20-1-1. Like, how's that for a start? You know, so the Bruins are, and there's one other thing, Dregs, and of course you can't quantify this, you can't touch it, you can't feel it. You just it's just there. And that's their chemistry, the way they fit. It just seems perfect right now in Boston. And if I were Don Sweeney, I'd be really nervous about tinkering too much with this team come up to the deadline here. I know there's some rumors about Patrick Kane. I love Patrick Kane as a player. Fantastic. Yeah. But what if you drop him in there and it throws the mix? Like, what if they were able to make a deal for a significant addition like that?
And that happens. Happens.
Yeah, it always does. Like, they get Taylor Hall playing on a third line with Charlie Coyle. He's had a fantastic year. That line is a problem for teams to match up against. And then yesterday, things don't work. Montgomery moves the deck chairs around a little bit, and all of a sudden, different lines, different players. Hall sets up the DeBrusk game winner, and Jake DeBrusk had a big day, and so it's fun. I enjoyed watching it, but I think it's best when you're there. That's my guess. I think it's best when you're there. You've been to them, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've never been to one. I went to one in Vancouver, but it was in the dome. It was inside.
No, I've enjoyed my experiences. I've been to a couple of Heritage Classics, a Winter Classic at Yankee Stadium. I've enjoyed them when I'm there, and I'd like to take my family, because when you're there, even though you can't see much, it just feels like you're.
Oh, you know what? Dregs, I was at an outdoor game. The outdoor Winter Classic at the World Junior. It was an amazing day in Buffalo. About 42 feet of snow. Those poor shovelers, the guys that came out, oh my God, they must all had back issues by the end of it. There was so much snow, and it was an amazing day.
We've got a question about the Bruins and the Penguins. So think about this as we continue the podcast. Don't answer it yet. It's on Instagram. It's part of Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. But a question about which team will have more Hall of Famers who are currently playing on the roster, the Penguins or the Boston Bruins. So there you go. Those are your headlines. Thanks as always to Boston Pizza.